Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the World of Wrestling Podcast. Here today to discuss about AEW Dynamite, August 5th, 2026 review from last night's episode. I was unable to do this review. It got really late. It was like 11 o'clock by the time I got done watching this entire episode. I had to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30. So it was really late, and trying to do this review would have just... I immediately went to bed, actually, after this event was over, so I didn't really have the time to take the opportunity to do the review for you guys. This show was an indie wrestling show, basically. And I don't have a problem with indie wrestling shows, but when you're doing a week-to-week televised programming show, where you're supposed to have storylines, it's kind of imperative, especially with one that's coming up as big as this one, All In, that could reach the possibility of 80,000 people, but where they're at right now, they might not make that, obviously. You want to have story. About the only story last night they had was MJF showing up and attacking Andrade El Idolo after he won the qualifying match to be the number one entry into the gauntlet match at All In to be crowned a number one contender for the AEW World Championship. So that's all we had last night for a story. That's not good. There was no Kenny Omega. There was no storyline progression there. There was no storyline progressions anywhere to be found on the show. This felt like its own personal pay-per-view. And I don't know why. You're telling me you couldn't have this as a special show but also have storylines involved? Like, I don't quite understand the logic here, Tony. Like, I don't get what you're doing. Quite frankly, it kind of makes you look like a fucking goofball. Are you trying to be a wrestling promotion or an indie show? And if you're trying to be an indie show, I'm totally down for that. That's fine, but we don't need you week to week. You know, once every couple of weeks will be fine. We don't need you shoved down our throats. If you're going to be shoved down our throats, give us some fucking story. Build towards pay-per-views that are supposed to be like this. We didn't get any of that last night, ladies and gentlemen. This was a good wrestling show, good wrestling performances by a lot of people, but honestly, no storyline progression found here. So if you happen to miss it, you weren't caring to watch the wrestling per se, you were caring about the storyline development, you weren't going to find it on this episode. That's all I can tell you. So if you skipped it, you didn't miss much of anything. I mean, you miss good wrestling. That's great and all, but we're 25 days out from one of the biggest shows of AEW of the year. You'd think they want to continue the progression of storylines so that we have something to, sink our teeth into. But unfortunately, that was not to be found here on this episode. But let me go over the match card, because obviously there ain't nothing else more to discuss here when it comes to storyline progression and what even... There was no discussions even taking place backstage, no interactions amongst other performers. They're just back to back to back to back to back, so on and so forth, of matches. Nothing else. Pretty off the walls, if you ask me. But anyway. So, the first match of the night was the 8-man tag team match with Jon Moxley, Daniel Garcia, Pac, and Wheeler Yuta going up against Adam Copeland, Christian Cage, and the Young Bucks. The Death Riders end up winning this matchup and defeating them. Adam Copeland gets rolled up by Jon Moxley, and Jon Moxley grabs his tights and gets the 1-2-3 for the victory. So that's all we get out of that. Following that, I believe it was the All-In Casino Gauntlet number one contenders spot in a three-way match. Andrade El Idolo obviously wins the matchup against Tommaso Ciampa and Commander. After the match was over, MJF obviously attacked him and made the announcement that he will be getting entered into the gauntlet match and that he's going to try to win number 2 spot in this event. And called Mexico a shithole country, said the people there are scumbags, and he is a proud American, and he wants to become the world champion once again. He had the Triple B championship, which I don't understand how he got hold of it, but somehow he did. I mean, the Young Bucks actually had possession of that title, so unless MJF stole it out of their bag or something, or went to TKO's home and stole it out of a trophy case or something, I don't quite understand how the fuck he got access to the belt and how he got back in his possession. Unless they were dumb enough to give it back to him in the first place. I have no idea, but honestly, how he got the championship makes absolutely no sense. And weird thing is, nobody's even asking that question, which is kind of strange if you ask me, but hey, it is what it is. But yeah, MJF considers himself still the real world champion than what the AEW considers as their world champion. So he blamed a lot on Ospreay. He blamed a lot on Kenny Omega taking advantage of a weak opportunity for him to take advantage of MJF. He also got the Dynamite Diamond ring back from Andrade El Idolo after he was attacked, and then punched him right in the forehead with the Dynamite Diamond ring attached to his finger, and he started bleeding buckets. So Andrade El Idolo is bleeding all over the place, bleeding all over MJF's shirt and back, actually. How that got there, I don't know. But yeah, that was the match in a nutshell, and your only storyline that was told here on this episode. Let's go figure that one out. Following that, I believe we had a 6-man tag team match with Darby Allin, Chris Jericho, and Mystico. Actually, that was later on in the show. I'm trying to remember what the match order was. I think it was Kyle Fletcher and Mike Bailey for the International Championship. This match was awesome. Very entertaining work by both of these guys, but quite frankly, all the unnecessary risks that was taken in this match, completely absurd and insane. Secondly, I also think that the spots they did in the main event with your main event star of All In was pretty absurd, with them dropping him on his head multiple times with Will Ospreay. That I don't quite understand. He's also suffered a major injury to his neck last year, and you're just dropping him on his neck. Someone please tell me where this makes sense, because that doesn't make any sense to me. Alright, so also on this card we had a 6-man tag team match with Darby Allin, Chris Jericho, and Mystico defeating Okada, Kevin Knight, and Hechicero. Not a big deal here. Persephine defeated Chris Statlander. Not a big deal in my personal opinion. 6-woman tag team match with Willow Nightingale and Brawling Birds defeating the Mercedes Moné and Divine Dominion. Why these two are tagged together, still has yet to be explained, which would be nice if we got an explanation as to why they're together. I mean, it's one thing to be coincidental here and there, but they've been kind of gelled together for like the last couple of episodes, I'd say. So it's been a little odd. And still no explanation as to why that is even taking place, or why they're together in any way, shape, or form, so that makes no sense. The Trios tag team titles were defended, where The Demand, Ricochet, Taya Leona, and Bishop Khan lost the Trios tag team titles to Hangman Page, Bandito, and Brody King. And why they're a tag team, a Trios team, I have no idea. No true explanation. Just give a title to Hangman Page because he can't get access to the world title. That's the direction we're going here? Alright, Tony Khan. I don't know what he's smoking, but okay. Yeah, that was it there, and then the main event was Will Ospreay defeating Mark Davis in a Mexico City street fight, but obviously no street fight. Just inside the arena, no holds barred match. And that's all you got. And Mark Davis lost the match, dumping Will Ospreay multiple times on his head. Finishers performed, people kicking out. I don't understand this company, what they're trying to accomplish here, and why they think that people kicking out of each other's finishers all the time is a good way to conduct business. All it does is hurt the finisher, and at this point I'm starting to wonder, what is the point of a finisher in wrestling these days? Might as well not even call it a finisher. Call it a signature move or something. At least if you're calling it a signature move, it's not really considered a finish to a match or a finishing maneuver. But it is what it is. I didn't think much of the show, honestly. The wrestling was fantastic. It was fun, wrestling-wise. But storyline progression-wise, it did not feel like a Dynamite. This felt like a glorified house show. Why this had to happen the way it did, I have no idea. But this episode, in my opinion, when it comes to storyline progression, absolutely sucks. And very disappointing on a episode that could have had more storyline progression, because they were going in the right direction with this. And now they're right back to Gear 1. I was figuring we were going to move this into Gear 2 already, since we only got 25 days left. Which leaves a total of 4 episodes of Dynamite. Now we only got 3. So, Tony Khan's got a lot of work ahead of him. I don't think he's going to pull off a miracle here. I think he's got a couple of matches that are booked here at this point that he's going to build on. And the rest of them he's just going to throw all together to equal out at least 10 plus matches or more. And that's what he's going to do. And I think Tony Khan is a fool for what he did last night. And a huge loss to the build going into All In my opinion. But they do have 3 more episodes left. They also have Collision that they could tell stories. But there's not a lot of people watching the show week to week. So people ain't going to know what the hell's going on unless they go on social media platforms or something. So, it is what it is. I'm not too ecstatic about this episode. I thought this episode absolutely sucked, quite frankly. And I wish it would have been a little bit better than this, but hey, it is what it is. We take it or we leave it at this point, and that's just the way it is. But anyway, guys, I thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, by all means, hit the like button. If you enjoyed the video, hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. And hit not hit anything, just leave a comment down below, and I'll definitely get back to on that. Thank you guys very much for watching, and have a great night, guys. Bye.